Verses 12 to 17. God tells Moses of his fault, his speaking unadvisedly with his lips at the waters of strife, where he did not express, so carefully as he ought to have done, a regard to the honor both of God and Israel. v. 14. Though Moses was a servant of the Lord, a faithful servant, yet once he rebelled against God's commandment, and failed in his duty, and though a very honorable servant, and highly favored, yet he shall hear of his miscarriage, and all the world shall hear of it too, again and again, for God will show his displeasure against sin, even in those that are nearest and dearest to him. Those that are in reputation for wisdom and honor have need to be constantly careful of their words and ways, lest at any time they say or do that which may be a diminution to their comfort, or to their credit, or both, a great while after. He tells Moses of his death. His death was the punishment of his sin, and yet notice is given him of it in such a manner as might best serve to sweeten and mollify the sentence, and reconcile him to it. Moses must die, but he shall first have the satisfaction of seeing the land of promise. v. 12. God did not intend with this sight of Canaan to tantalize him, or upbraid him with his folly in doing that which cut him short of it, nor had it any impression of that kind upon him, but God appointed it and Moses accepted it as a favor, his sight, we have reason to think, being wonderfully strengthened and enlarged to take such a full and distinct view of it as did abundantly gratify his innocent curiosity. This sight of Canaan signified his believing prospect of the better country, that is, the heavenly, which is very comfortable to dying saints. Moses must die, but death does not cut him off, it only gathers him to his people, brings him to rest with the holy patriarchs that had gone before him. Abraham, and Isaac, and Jacob, were his people, the people of his choice and love, and to them death gathered him. Moses must die, but only as Aaron died before him. v. 13. And Moses had seen how easily and cheerfully Aaron had put off the priesthood first and then the body. Let not Moses therefore be afraid of dying, it was but to be gathered to his people, as Aaron was gathered. Thus the death of our near and dear relations should be improved by us, as an engagement to us to think often of dying. We are not better than our fathers or brethren, if they are gone, we are going, if they are gathered already, we must be gathered very shortly. As an encouragement to us to think of death without terror, and even to please ourselves with the thoughts of it. It is but to die as such and such died, if we live as they lived, and their end was peace, they finished their course with joy, why then should we fear any evil in that melancholy valley? Here, Moses prays for a successor. When God had told him that he must die, though it appears elsewhere that he solicited for a reprieve for himself, do 3:24, 25, yet, when this could not be obtained, he begged earnestly that the work of God might be carried on, though he might not have the honor of finishing it. Envious spirits do not love their successors, but Moses was not one of these. We should concern ourselves, both in our prayers and in our endeavors, for the rising generation, that religion may flourish, and the interests of God's kingdom among men may be maintained and advanced, when we are in our graves. In this prayer Moses expresses a tender concern for the people of Israel, that the congregation of the Lord be not as sheep which have no shepherd. Our Savior uses this comparison in his compassions for the people when they wanted good ministers, Mt 9:36. Magistrates and ministers are the shepherds of a people. If these be wanting, or be not as they should be, people are apt to wander and be scattered abroad, are exposed to enemies, and in danger of wanting food and of hurting one another, as sheep having no shepherd. A believing dependence upon God, as the God of the spirits of all flesh. He is both the former and the searcher of spirits, and therefore can either find men fit or make them fit to serve his purposes, for the good of his church. Moses prays to God, not to send an angel, but to set a man over the congregation, that is, to nominate and appoint one whom he would qualify and own as ruler of his people Israel. Before God gave this blessing to Israel, he stirred up Moses to pray for it. Thus Christ, before he sent forth his apostles, called to those about him to pray the Lord of the harvest that he would send forth laborers into his harvest. Mt 9:38. God, in answer to his prayer, appoints him a successor, even Joshua, who had long since signalized himself by his courage in fighting Amalek, his humility in ministering to Moses, and his faith and sincerity in witnessing against the report of the evil spies. This is the man whom God pitches upon to succeed Moses, a man in whom is the Spirit of grace. He is a good man, fearing God and hating covetousness, and acting from principle, the spirit of government. He is fit to do the work and discharge the trusts of his place, a spirit of conduct and courage, and he had also the spirit of prophecy, for the Lord often spoke unto him. Jos 4:1, 6:2, 7:10. Now hear.